This program will contain visuals that might offend sensitive viewers. Parental guidance is advised.
This is an SABC News presentation.
SABC News senior political reporter Aldrin Simpia sat down with the Commander-in-Chief of the Red Berets. They discussed matters central in political debate in Mzansi. Malema spoke on the Democratic Alliance, the infamous 6% issue, as well as land.
Big issue that's currently dominating the political landscape is the issue around land, and of course the EFF has brought a motion in Parliament, but that was overwhelmingly opposed. Firstly, just your take after that happened.
Well, we've seen the protectors of white monopoly capital coming together in the form of the ANC and the DA to defend those who are in possession of our land illegally so. And we've always said that the ANC is in cahoots with white monopoly capital, and a lot of people were in denial. So we used that motion to expose the ANC's inconsistency when it comes to radical economic transformation, that they are just engaged in a lip service. They do not mean any of the things they are saying.
Strangely though is that over the weekend when President Jacob Zuma was speaking in Pretoria, he spoke about this issue around land, and he said that there must be land redistribution without compensation, or land expropriation without compensation, using the Constitution. Many had expected that probably the ANC in Parliament, the Parliamentary Caucus, will heed that call from the President. They didn't, and today the President was speaking to the traditional leaders, where he said, I just want to quote him quickly here, he said, I'm pleading to particularly the parties that represent historically disadvantaged people. They must unite on this matter so that we have sufficient majority in Parliament legally to allow for the expropriation of land without compensation. Does this shock you at all?
Not at all. I mean, Zuma is trying to find some legacy for himself, and then his party is not with him. The ANC is a party which is in conflict with itself, and the center doesn't hold. It's unheard of for a president to make a pronunciation and for his party to go the opposite direction, because in most cases what the president says becomes the order of the day in their political formations. But we've seen the president saying something else and the party doing something different, and to an extent that the chief whip of the majority party disagrees with the president, that no, there is no need to amend the constitution. We must just agree that we've failed as the ANC. Yet the president says for us to move, we have to amend the constitution. So when they are slaughtering each other like that, we don't have to get involved. We must just sit on the side and watch the ANC biting itself.
And what's strange about this is that when you have Jackson Mthembu, who's the chief whip of the ANC, saying this, saying that the Constitution doesn't stand in the way of us accelerating the expropriation of land, and then you have his predecessor Tony Yengeni, who then says that you had an opportunity and you missed this opportunity. He also says that he will raise this at the ANC's policy conference. Absolutely,
that's a clear confirmation that the ANC is in conflict with itself. The ANC is hating itself, and therefore this can only mean the end of the ANC, because you can't say when the president says we are unable to speed up the process of giving our people land because of the Constitution, and you say no, wait, it's not the Constitution, it is because we failed. You're suggesting that your president is dumb. He doesn't know what are the real reasons why we can't speed up the process of giving our people land back. You've got the former chief whip of the ANC saying the motion by the EFF was an opportunity missed by the ANC. So if there was anyone in doubt that the ANC is biting itself, the ANC is self-destructive, the ANC is going to die a painful death, then you just have to look at all of this, where the center doesn't hold, where there is no central message. I actually went to the Constitutional Court after the debate in Parliament, where an ordinary member of the ANC walked towards me and said, I'm not proud of my party and I'm not happy today to be a member of the ANC because of what happened in Parliament yesterday. So that's how their members feel, and that's how their members are so disappointed by the leadership of the ANC.
Is the 6% offer still on the table?
It's permanently there. The 6% is available for anyone who wants to fight the struggle that wants to restore the dignity of African people.
With no conditions? This is not
absolutely
the 6% with regards to the Section 25 of the Constitution?
Absolutely. We have no condition at all. The condition is that let's expropriate the land and give it to our people.
You know, when I was listening to the President say this, mentioning that we need to have a majority in Parliament so that we can change the Constitution legally, so, and it made me think that back in 2004, you had Thabo Mbeki was the President of the ANC and the President of the country. They had an overwhelming majority, the ANC at 69%. Why didn't it use that opportunity then? You were a member of the ANC then as well.
Well, Thabo Mbeki has always represented something different. It's a man of privatization. It's a man that believed that most of the strategic assets should be in the hands of private companies and individuals, and that's why we disagreed with Thabo's pursuing of neoliberal policies. So, and those were some of the fundamental reasons why some of us did not agree with Thabo coming back as the president of the ANC for the third time, even when the Constitution allowed.
Do you think that the former President Nelson Mandela needs to take some sort of responsibility? He should be...
No, the whole of the ANC should take a collective responsibility. They sold us at Codesa. And sometimes I even get tempted to sympathize with them. They say, well, it was difficult, the condition was not favorable and all that. Fair enough, let's accept that explanation. But what stops you now? There's nothing that stops you now. The conditions then were not favorable. Now conditions are in favor of the forces of change. Why can't you change the Constitution and then give our people the land in the same way our predecessors, in the same way our forefathers had wished, that revolution and the ushering in of democracy will mean one thing and one thing only, that the land will be returned into the hands of the rightful owners.
A presumed U.S. drone strike in the south of the country has killed 3 Al-Qaeda suspects.
Death toll in Yemen's 18-month-old civil war now stands at about 10,000.
People get killed or die and are actually buried before they're recorded, and we don't have a way of recording that, but we know the numbers are much higher.
Water restrictions are to be imposed on villages in and around the Nkomazi municipality.
Pumps can't pump the water because there's no water in a river, and if the water is coming back, then it's full of mud.
Those who can pray and those who can do any miracle to make sure that we've got enough rain, give it a try.
Water-wise, water is an essential need. The scarcity of it could lead to loss of many lives, including livestock, plants, and much more. It requires us to use it sparingly and responsibly in times of need, failing which our taps and sanitation will not function. For more on water and weather issues, stay tuned to News Today, every Friday at 4:45 Central African Time. SABC News, making you water-wise.
Many voted for the economic freedom fighters in 2014, now in 2016 as well. Just over 2 million votes, if I'm not mistaken. Do you think that the EFF, and you being the leader of the EFF, would one day be being accused of selling out, considering that you decided to form a voting bloc with the DA in local government?
Well, I think many of our voters can see that our strategy, is giving us results. Now the ANC is talking about the land without being ashamed. Now DA is speaking about the land without being ashamed. The DA says, no, the constitution allows the ANC is incapable of taking the land to the people, use the same constitution to take the land. Now everyone speaks about the land because of the EFF strategy. Had we given power to the ANC, it was going to be business as usual. So the ANC says, wait, we have to do things different now. Why? Because they've lost the metros. Why did they lose the metros? The EFF decided to vote with the DA against the ANC because the ANC refused to send their land back into the hands of the people.
But do you call the DA a racist organization?
It remains exactly that.
If it is a racist organization, why do you take the votes of these black majority people who voted for the EFF to this racist organization?
Because I want the blacks who are in power to listen to me. They must know that if you don't listen to the people, you will lose power, and you lose power to the most racist organization. It's not like we're drunk, or it's not like we are in it because we're self-seeking. We just gave the DA the votes and then stood on the side. Why? Because the ANC must do the right thing. And once the ANC does the right thing, those votes are available. That's why we don't have any agreement, signed agreement with the DA. So you can't say we are married to the DA. We are still available. We're just flirting, man. We're not married to the DA. So those who think we belong together, they have to work hard to earn a marriage with the EFF.
But this flirting didn't help in Metsimaholo, did it?
Well, the aid did help. If you know mathematics, go and look at what the ANC got in 2016, the 3rd of August, and go and see what the ANC got now. The ANC reduced. The opposition combined in Metsimaholo got 70%. If that is a reflection of what is going to happen in South Africa, then what is going to happen to the ANC? So if you are in politics and you keep on reducing like that, you will not celebrate those results. Only illiterate ministers who have not been to school, who can't make simple calculations, will always celebrate the outcome of by-elections where the ANC numbers keep on reducing. They don't even see that as a wake-up call. They keep on living a lie because they are in denial that the ANC is declining even in the most rural areas where we thought the ANC keeps on enjoying support.
But do you think at all that the EFF could have shot itself in the foot here with the voting bloc with the DA? Because after the elections, you made the announcement that you'll be voting together with the DA. I remember one of the questions was that why aren't you going at least for one municipality which was available, which was Rustenburg? And you said that the EFF is not willing to come through the back door. You feel that the people have said through their votes that the EFF is not ready to govern. Yet with Metsimaholo you take a different stance. Now the EFF wants to be in power in Metsimaholo.
Well, we were contesting a by-election in Metsimaholo, and we were sure that if we win that by-election, that was going to be a clear sign that people are saying to the EFF, let's go, please lead us into a better life. So remember that politics are not static. They are dynamic, and the balance of forces change from time to time. Political dynamics change from time to time, and the EFF as a Marxist-Leninist organization that believes in science, it can't say yesterday we took this type of a decision, even when development suggests that you need to change your attitude, then remain static as if you are a religious body. We are not a religious body, but a political formation will always respond to material condition.
One of those material conditions is the ruling of the Constitutional Court last year that found that President Jacob Zuma failed to protect and defend the Constitution. It also found against the National Assembly with regards to holding the executive accountable. And the EFF is still part of that parliament.
Well, of course, the EFF has got to be part of that parliament.
But why is the EFF part of a parliament that the Constitutional Court has found that has failed to hold the executive accountable in the face of President Jacob Zuma?
You have to be part of it so that you fight from within and say to the same parliament, we need to dissolve and go to an early election. That's what the EFF is doing. It's like asking me, why is the EFF a socialist organization existing in a capitalist economy? You have to exist in it in order to fight it. So we cannot fight from outside. We are inside because we are more powerful inside. We are more impactful inside. And we are not just enjoying being inside. We're being beaten up. We're being tortured in parliament for fighting for exactly what the Constitutional Court said it was wrong. So we have to be inside and fight from within. And that strategy is working quite well for the EFF. I went to the leader of the DA and said to the DA leader, if we combine the EFF numbers and the DA numbers and we resign from parliament, that thing is no longer properly constituted parliament. But that strategy will still come. If we're still weighing our options, we're still fighting from within, and maybe at the end of everything else, we may come to a conclusion that perhaps we must resign, and then once parliament doesn't reach its quorum as prescribed in the constitution, then we can approach the Constitutional Court to go and instruct the speaker to dissolve parliament and for the president to declare elections.
How long does it take then for the EFF to get to that point with the DA or even with other opposition parties to get to that point that, listen, now we need to do this? Because you have Baleka Mbete, who is the chairperson, or rather who is the Speaker of Parliament, and the Constitutional Court is found against her, against the instructions that she has given.
Well, a revolution is not like a birthday party where you say Malema is going to turn 36 on the 3rd of March. Hurrah, we're going to have a party. No. You have to work for it. You have to ensure that everybody else is convinced that you tried every solution, every strategy, and there's no longer an option but to resign from parliament. When we are ready, we'll make a pronouncement that the ground is now fertile, everyone else is now persuaded, not only in the opposition, by the way, even from within the ANC. There are a lot of people who are saying, we think this is not right. We think that in a normal democracy, in a democracy led by moral people, we should have said, guys, the decision of the Constitutional Court effectively means that we are no longer a legitimate body to hold anyone accountable based on this constitution that we have violated. Therefore, we must resign, call an early elections, even if it means we're coming back ourselves, the same individual. But parliament will be a different parliament because it will no longer be a 5th parliament. It will be a 6th parliament, and therefore we can hold anybody accountable based on that constitution.
Cold weather is good news for farmers rattling the fall armyworm.
Soldiers of misfortune, and it has no natural combat enemy in South Africa yet.
A mother in Deep Sloot is fighting for answers after a baby died at a local creche.
When they handed the baby to me, I said boy boy, but he was unresponsive and his hands were very cold. When I opened his eyes, I knew something was wrong.
Daycare mothers even changed his nappy and handed the already dead child to the unsuspecting mother.
Water-wise, water is an essential need. The scarcity of it could lead to loss of many lives, including livestock, plants, and much more. it requires us to use it sparingly and responsibly in times of need, failing which our taps and sanitation will not function. For more on water and weather issues, stay tuned to News Today, every Friday at 4:45 Central African Time. SABC News, making you water-wise.
After a horrific accident, major questions were asked.
So step one, I asked myself, do I really want to die? And my answer to that was, I'm not sure. And then step two was, do I want my parents to bury me? And my answer to that was no.
Learning kept his brain in full action on how the brain works.
When I was in hospital, right, as I was saying, to catch up with my peers, I started to become obsessed with memory techniques and how the brain works and how we retain information.
Touching lives is his continuous mission.
I now work for a non-profit where we deal with access issues regarding kids with disabilities and persons with disability. We're busy working on beach access.
Being wheelchair-bound did not stop fun in his life.
I party in a wheelchair, I laugh in a wheelchair, I smile in a wheelchair.
For all your uplifting stories, catch Bupilong every Friday.
Right now you've decided to go to the Constitutional Court to force the Speaker to hold the President accountable.
Absolutely. I mean, we will say exactly what the Constitutional Court said, that in not taking steps to make Zuma to comply with remedial actions of the public protector, the Parliament has failed to discharge its responsibilities. So we are saying to the Constitutional Court, once more this Parliament is failing. If the Constitutional Court says the President did not uphold his oath of office, then Parliament must hold him accountable. Even if they were to say this is not a serious violation, let us come to that conclusion, but through a legitimate, genuine process which everybody else will accept that Parliament did something.
And while that process is underway, strangely, you'll have the Supreme Court of Appeal case that will be going on around the corruption charges against the President. Where does the EFF stand with that? Is there any plan to join the DA on this?
Well, you know, we are not political opportunists. We don't get involved in cases that we can see that they are winnable. That is irresponsible politically. So we can see that a DA is doing a right thing, and we can see that the DA is going to win the case. So why should we add on something that we can see is already won? So we don't operate like that. We operate from a principled point of view. If there was no one who's taking the dropping of charges of Zuma on review, we're going to do that. But if there is somebody already who's doing that, fair enough, let's support that initiative without wanting to impose ourselves. We're not like the DA. When they see that this case is going to be winnable in court, they start running to join other people's cases. Whether it's EFF, whether it's DA, whether it's COPE, as long as the results are the same result that we wish for, then let's support that initiative. We support DA, we're fully behind them. Zuma should be held accountable.
He has always said that he wants to have his day in court. This is President Jacob Zuma. You uttered the same words when you were facing the corruption charges against you at the time. Do you feel that the NPA should afford you that opportunity to clear your name?
I went to court and I presented myself before the court. And when the NPA wanted to postpone, I said to the judge, I'm always here. And I don't understand why permanently I should be coming here when people are not ready, you know, to prosecute me. And the judge agreed that the man has always been here. When you ask him to be here, he comes here. You are not ready, and therefore come back the day you are ready. So that's part of our judicial process. I've never applied for squashing of charges, nothing of that sort. I've never went to highest court to try and prevent the NPA from charging me. I've always said, here I am, bring it on. But they were never ready. And even if I want to be heard by the court, but I'm not going to allow a situation where I get abused like that. I've got rights too. And I also should benefit from the constitutional protection. And that's exactly what happened.
Do you want to clear your name?
Which name must I clear? There's nothing against me.
There are these findings by the public protector, well, not against you personally, but against Ratanang, that Ratanang benefited improperly from the on-point engineering tender.
But you're contradicting yourself. You're saying, do you want to clear your name? You're saying me. Yeah. And then in the same sentence, say not you necessarily. So why should I go clear other people's names? I'm talking about me.
Ratanang is, who's the trustee of Ratanang?
Yeah.
So, wouldn't you want to clear your name as the trustee of Ratanang?
No, but I'm not here to speak on behalf of Ratanang. You called me to speak, come and interview Julius Malema here about political issues. I'm saying to you, there is no finding against Julius Malema. And the public protector, even when she left office, others tried to say, you found against Malema. I said, where? I've never found against Malema on any corruption. So don't try to maneuver here non-existing allegations against me. They tried that with me before, it never worked. So there are no allegations against me.
The allegations are from the NPA. It might not be in the public protector's report against you personally as Julius Malema, but there are these allegations against you from the Hawks, from the police side, from the state side. So what I'm asking you is that do you want to see your name cleared?
But where are the allegations, Masaram?
There are these allegations.
Where?
The case might have been thrown out of court, but the NPA has indicated that they might bring the case back.
But for as long as they've not brought the case back, there are no allegations. You are living, you are living an imaginary life. Stop imagining things. I'm asking you where. If there are nowhere, then I can't be answering things that are not existing.
Are there allegations against?
There are no allegations against me.
Are there allegations against President Jacob Zuma?
Yeah, absolutely. The court has even found, the High Court has found that Zuma has got a case to answer. He must be charged. You don't know that?
But the NPA,
such a senior reporter.
The NPA doesn't have a case against and that's
now you are arguing against the High Court. You are making a terrible mistake. There is a finding by the High Court that the charges were dropped wrongly. Therefore, Zuma must be charged.
And the NPA believes that Julius Malema should be charged as well. However, they haven't brought the case against Julius Malema back.
But where? I'm asking you where. Give me a statement.
What I'm trying to get to here is that, do you want your name to be cleared? You have these allegations that have been leveled against you by the NPA.
Where?
By the NPA when they went
I'm
to
saying
court.
where?
They went to court in Bulugwane.
But they're not there. Those charges are not there. There's no charge before court.